Hello, my name is Dillon Halpin. You guys might remember me from last year's Carmel Valley Summer Symphony. I was one of the conductors. Today, I'm going to be talking about how to start conducting as a student, how to get familiar, how to start learning the ropes and get some experience. First, I want to say that I wish we were able to meet in person this year. I had a great time conducting last year and I was really looking forward to this year, but given the current circumstances, there's not much we can do except follow guidelines, which is fine. Also, I have written down what I want to say, because I only have 10 minutes and I'm sure I'd ramble if I didn't have some notes. So let's start. If you're watching this, hopefully you guys have some interest in conducting, and I just want to let you know there's a lot of stuff you can do at any age to further your knowledge, middle school, high school, even younger than that. And in this video, I'm going to be covering two things: getting obsessed and then finding opportunities, okay? Hopefully there'll be something to learn for everybody. So the first thing I think you should do when you want to become a conductor is just to fall in love with conducting. With the internet and YouTube and IMSLP, it's never been easier to. There's lectures, there's master classes, there's orchestral recordings where the camera's just on the conductor the whole time. All of this you can find online, and it's great resources. One main thing about conducting is to be a conductor, you have to recognize that you're always going to be a student. Even principal conductor of the New York Philharmonic is still learning things every day, and you have to have this love for learning that a lot of my teachers have talked about, and that's going to bring you a really long way. One recording I would recommend is people have recorded Leonard Bernstein's lectures at Harvard and put them on YouTube, and there's like 8 recordings and they're all an hour long, so you have a lot of contact there. I mean, if you just have access to the internet, you can watch a master teach for 8 hours, which is amazing. People have also clipped out short little 10-minute snippets from those lectures. So if you just want to highlight and you don't have a whole hour to kill or something like that, that's a great opportunity. My personal favorite is the video of Bernstein on Debussy. His explanation of tonality in that song gives me a much deeper understanding of how Debussy crafted that piece. And as a flutist, of course, that's one of the staple pieces we have to learn for orchestral repertoire. He's so well-spoken and insightful. It's amazing to watch him, really. These lectures were the beginning of the Bernstein pipeline for me. After I watched them, I just became obsessed with everything he had to say. Conducting masterclasses are also another great resource on YouTube. There's lots of pre-corona recordings where a master will conduct and help a student. And there's even some post-corona ones on Zoom, which is interesting to watch. One of my favorites is Gergiev teaching a student how to conduct the Poem of Ecstasy, which is this crazy, wild piece. And if you know Gergiev, you know he has a really non-traditional style of conducting. It's even comical at times, especially in this video. But that's part of the reason I love it so much. He moves all sporadically and is groaning basically the entire time, but it really helps convey what the music is saying, you know. It just goes to show that any conducting style can be effective with enough practice, and that we shouldn't discount anything just because it doesn't instantly match our tendencies.
Don't do many small movements. It's a grand writing. Yeah. Figure 12. It's 1. Fly. Crazy.
You guys should watch the full hour-and-a-half video if you want to hear comparison to what it sounded like when the student conducted, or if you want to see other students conduct as well. It's really a good video. As conductors, it's imperative that we have open minds when it comes to music and interpretation. We understand that taking in as many different perspectives is only going to help us craft our own, and it's going to teach us new things that we may not have known before. I also encourage you to listen to all kinds of classical music. We often get caught up in what we like. Some people just like romantic music. Some people like modern music, but it's important to get a full scope of everything that's going on in the classical music world. And the internet has no shortage of new music and to listen to, new things to learn. And one thing that I highly recommend going on to is IMSLP and doing some score study. Score study is a really important part of conducting, and it's often overlooked, but it's still integral to our success for sure. And the more practice you get at it, the better you're going to be. The best conductors are able to look at a score of full 27 instruments and read each line, know the pitch tendency for each instrument, and which role that instrument is playing at that specific time. Score study is super difficult. Thankfully, it's very easy to start practicing. We have a bunch of scores available to us for free. And what's going to help with score study is definitely some knowledge about music theory. You don't need any extensive theory knowledge, just knowing the clefs, what intervals are, how to structure chords, and these are all things that are going to have great importance in the world of conducting. If you feel your theory knowledge isn't up to standard or you're lacking a little bit, I recommend the textbook Tonal Harmony. This is what my high school used for AP Music Theory. It's what I used. It's really straightforward. It's very approachable and well structured, and there's a PDF version for only $10. You can find it on Amazon if you want hard copy. Knowing some music theory is just going to make score studying a lot more enjoyable. A good way to practice is to just find music from a composer you don't normally listen to. Some days, if I want to learn more about Baroque music, I'll just search up some Bach piano scores and follow along on YouTube. And actually, lots of videos have the score and a recording playing at the same time, so it's really easy to follow along. And this is great for learning how to study a score. All non-piano players are accustomed to only having to read one line at a time, but being a conductor, you have to be able to read way more than one line at a time. This doesn't come naturally, and it definitely takes practice. So don't start out trying to read, a full symphony orchestra or wind ensemble score. It's going to be too much to handle. I would recommend just starting with piano scores or chamber music and slowly kind of build your way up. When you're studying a score, you don't want to just listen and follow the notes either. You want to make sure to notice all the important emotional changes, which lines are being brought out, how voices are moving against each other, because if you conduct a piece, those are all the things you're going to have to know like the back of your hand, really. My recommendation if you're just starting out is a collection of Bach piano fugues called The Art of the Fugue. This video on YouTube, and it's got an enlarged score following Joanna McGregor's playing, and it's beautiful and tasteful. I feel like Baroque music often gets a bad rap with younger musicians because we think it's like the boring period, but when you actually sit down and start to study the music and try and listen intently, the beauty becomes really apparent. It's structured so expertly. Bach perfectly crafts every line and every harmony, not to mention the extensive stylistic choices the performer has to make. Just to summarize this first point, the more you fall in love with conducting, the easier it's going to be to learn. Okay, so now that you're in love with conducting, it's time to start actually conducting. That's what the second part of this video is about, how to find opportunities. Self-study and practice is great, but nothing is going to teach you more than real-life actual experience. Sadly, it's hard to get out there and conduct musicians when there's a global pandemic, but there's still a lot of online resources available to us right now. For the following years when we can meet in person again, I couldn't recommend reaching out to your teachers enough. That's how I got my start in conducting. I let my flute teacher know that conducting was something I wanted to pursue, and from that moment forward, she helped me with getting more experience. I started out small by conducting just our little winter flute choir, playing some Christmas music, and this was a great intro as I only had 4 lines I had to read along with the score, and conducting your peers is a lot less stressful than a full ensemble of faces you don't know. If you don't have a private teacher, you can reach out to your school's music program. That's also another great opportunity. No one really knows what school is going to look like next year, but hopefully you'll be able to have some interaction with your school's music program, whether it's online or not. Another way in which you can practice your conducting during a pandemic is just to listen to recordings and conduct alongside them. This isn't ideal because it's not your own interpretation and the musicians aren't going to respond to your movements, but it's a great way just to get a little more familiar with stick technique and all the other technicalities of conducting. If you don't have a private teacher and you don't participate in your school's music program, there's still more you can do to learn. There's online camps and lessons, some paid, some are free, and these are all great ways to hear differing perspectives and opinions on conducting. There's a free course I'm going to link here that covers 8 different aspects of conducting, all for free, and you can find many more courses like that with just a simple Google search. I would also recommend not only connecting to your teachers, but also fellow musicians who have similar interests in you. Carmel Valley Summer Symphony was created by high school students, and it gave me my first experience conducting a full orchestra. A program like this takes a large amount of work and dedication, but there's nothing stopping you from getting a few friends together on each instrument and playing some chamber orchestra or chamber music with you conducting. When restrictions are lifted, I think musicians are going to be jumping at every opportunity they can to play. So if you can get a little group together and rehearse some music, you'll learn so much. You don't even necessarily, have to have a space to perform. Leading rehearsals will already teach you enough about how to talk to musicians and communicate your ideas effectively. If you do want to perform and get experience in that region, then I again can't emphasize reaching out to your teachers enough. As students, there's only so much independence we have, but you'd be shocked at how many people, especially music teachers, are willing to help you if you're motivated and have a plan. Finally, my last suggestion for finding opportunities is just to take charge. Whenever an opportunity to conduct presents itself, you have to be ready to go all in no matter the circumstances. You need to work hard, to study the score and learn the parts, which is something you should be excited about. Yes, conducting is stressful, and there's a lot of pressure put on you, but it's also very rewarding. You have the ability to bring beautiful music out of people. The people in your orchestra are your instruments, okay? And bringing emotion out of them is why we love conducting. There's nothing like the camaraderie and connection you feel when everything kind of clicks together, and it's not going to click the first time. It does take practice and experience. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys learned something from this. If you guys have any questions or need any advice, I'll leave my email up on the screen right now, and feel free to send me any questions. So thank you guys.